And welcome back, FM Talk 106.5 and Mobile Mornings. And it's great to talk with my good friend Desi Tobias again from Tobias and Comer Law. Time for another edition of Law 251. Desi, how are you? Happy holidays.
Good. Great to see you, Dalton.
We have had so many great conversations. I've learned so much over the years. And, that didn't change for 2023. And I was looking back at all of the things we've discussed this year, and it's been a lot, and it's been a lot of great information, and I want folks to know that they can check these out and listen to these podcasts at tobiascomerlaw.com, just the Law 251 podcast that we have up there. But we started the year talking about, of course, Mardi Gras safety and tips, which is a big dang deal down here. Of course, some boating safety tips, and I remember earlier this year, you guys had some great videos with Aaliyah Marine Patrol, letting folks know how to stay safe out there on the boats, make sure they have the PFDs and everything they need. Also, some good in-depth, statute of limitations. When does it run out for certain cases? What different types of claims are there? We've been over so much this year, and teen driving safety, child passenger safety. Just want to thank you and the crew, first off, at Tobias Comer Law for giving us all this great information. And I don't know. How do you feel? Has it been a growing year for Tobias and Comer Law? You feel you've had some new cases, met new people, I'm sure.
Yeah, I've been practicing law 36 years, Dalton, and I like to walk out of there every day and say, I learned something today. I did something new. I kind of pushed myself in a way where I learned something about the law or a case. And I always like to do that. And after 36 years, it kind of catches up with you. You get a base of experience. And this year was similar. There were new cases, new challenges for us, and clients that we helped successfly. Mm-hmm. In particular, we had the judgment back in March with AltaPoint. There was a $7 million judgment that gained a lot of notoriety locally. And that matter just went on appeal, and it's still out there. AltaPoint is challenging that on appeal. But that was very gratifying to see that, and we hope that in some ways the system can change based upon that result.
Yeah, and I imagine that, cases they can stretch on forever, I'm sure. But that particular case, and it was such a big news story locally, also statewide. And we had so many people reaching out to us that were touched by that entire process and everything that you guys had to say about that case and how it went down. So that was certainly a huge story this year.
Yeah, that case was tried by Brian Comer and Lacey Smith, and it was a huge story. It was on the cover of Lanyap, and we had numerous calls from many people following that, trying to relate certain circumstances that they had, but it gained a lot of attention, which is a good thing for the system. Mm-hmm. It's always good, particularly when you have a population that's vulnerable like that, to wonder how we're caring for those people, and can it be better?
And not to delve too far into it, but to me that sounds like exactly what your goal is, to take the innocent, the people who don't deserve something that's happened to them, and not only try to, as best you can, make it right, but also change the system for the people that it hasn't happened to yet.
Right, and there's like a deterrent effect out there for people are always thinking, well, I don't want to do this, and they'll say in a negative way, I don't want to get sued, but actually, if you just made yourself drive safer, act safer, make a product safer, that's a good thing. And there are people in dire circumstances often that we see. They could be paralyzed. They could have had a loved one die who was their means of support. They could have lost something that we help in a certain way. All we can do is provide money. We can provide a certain amount of satisfaction in knowing that something was addressed to them. But ultimately, it's about that in the civil system, is to try to get them some type of compensation that makes up for what they've lost.
Another question I had, and I guess it's as good as any time to ask it as we kind of look back at 2023. Law is always changing. There's always new laws being passed. There's always new opinions being passed down or handed down. How do you keep up with all that? How do you compartmentalize? Because I know you have cases you're working on. You have your certain system, I'm sure, your daily routine. How do you work that in? How are you keeping up with all these new changes to laws?
Well, that's part of it, and being active and handling an active caseload is that you learn new things. Some other point of law will come up, and you need to learn everything there is about that. But the law changes as well. The legislature will change the law. It did that in a couple of significant circumstances this year. They changed the dram shop law. There was change to road builder. That statute had some changes. But every Friday, the appellate courts in Alabama release their opinions. The Supreme Court of Alabama, the Court of Criminal Appeals, the Court of Civil Appeals. And I get an email, as do other lawyers, and I go through all of those opinions. And you can see the law. Sometimes it'll trend a certain way. Sometimes it'll trend back. Sometimes it'll change entirely. You can get a sense for certain personalities on the court and how things may go there. So it's very interesting, and it's all part of what we do to do the best we can to represent our clients, is to make sure we understand that.
Are you still surprised by some things all these years later?
Oh, yeah, we are surprised. Some things you kind of understand what's going on and why it did that. But, as a lawyer that has these cases and litigation, and you're waiting on a ruling from the court, and it's just like that last pass in the Iron Bowl last week, that you don't know if it's going to be caught or not, if you're going to win or not. So you always, your heart's in your throat to hope that you prevailed and your client prevailed. But, yeah, you are surprised at times by what's happened.
And talking with Desi Tobias with Tobias and Comer Law and Law 251 right here, I guess this is as good a time as any with Christmas on the way here and all the gift giving and new toys people will be getting. Something we've discussed in the past plenty, defective products. And not just what to do if you're harmed by a defective product, but when you get new toys, or, a lot of young parents will be getting new things for their toddlers or children this year, it's pretty important. I realized this after talking with you guys, to go ahead and register these things.
Well, yeah, you want to register things. We see a lot of products you think are brand new and shiny, and somebody must have made this really safe, or else it wouldn't have been sold. But that's often not the case, or it's not always the case. So, yeah, you do want to look at the information that you get. If there is an injury, the manufacturer always will say, well, that was in the owner's manual, or it was this, or it was that. And so that there was some type of information provided that would have prevented the injury. You want to acquaint yourself with that, but be aware, of the product and what can happen.
And speaking of what can happen, no one better to kind of put this out there, but with the holiday parties, Christmas parties, business parties, there's often some alcohol that's imbibed in these. And you've worked cases, no telling how many, that have involved people who were injured in someone else driving under the influence, and how that can be so life-changing, not just for whoever it is not for whoever the victim is, but also whoever ends up getting in the car under the influence. It changes their entire life.
Yeah, that's true. Mobile has 2 holiday seasons. We're going into the first one, then we got Mardi Gras after that. But alcohol injuries or alcohol-related injuries are huge. That may be probably the biggest thing at Christmas time. In the holiday time is to see that, and some of the statistics about there were say 7,339 alcohol and drug crashes in our state.
Wow.
Something that goes back to that in 2021. So it's there, and the issues and the I want to say the temptation, their holiday parties, things like that. It's just something to be aware of, how bad things can turn out for everybody involved.
Yeah. The worst case scenario kind of thing that has to be running through your mind before you do something like that, get behind the wheel, because it's happened. It's happened over 7,000 times in our state in 1 year alone. So certainly life-changing. I do want to remind folks, some of the things we've talked about this year have been so eye-opening for me. And I think a lot of our listeners can learn a lot. So if they want to check out some of our great podcasts we've had, like about Child Passenger Safety Week, or the really informative one we had back in July about the statute of limitations and different types of claims, you can check all those out at tobiascomerlaw.com and learn something, just like I do every time you or Brian come in.
That's right. We do have a website. We try to keep current. Anybody could log on there or just give us a call, 251-432-5001. And we're happy to answer the question at no charge. The only charge is if we're successful in pursuing your case.
Yeah, and you don't know if you don't ask, for someone out there who's worried about picking up the phone. Well, Desi, really appreciate you coming in, and hope you and Brian and Lacey and Jennifer, everyone, Tobias and Comer Law, have a Merry Christmas, and your families too.
Okay, you too, Dalton. Always good to see you and enjoy talking with you.
All right, Desi Tobias with Tobias and Comer Law, and another edition there of Law 251. Coming up next, the Jeff Poor Show right here on FM Talk 106.5.